Welcome to the second episode of What's the Deal with Adam and Neil. I'm Adam.
And I'm Neil.
There we have it. Thanks for joining us this morning. We have a great show for you because there are a lot of trending issues that we need to discuss. It includes from items related to Greene County to we're going to find out how Neil likes his eggs. And then we're going to ask the real question, who was St. Patrick? So to get us started, Neil, share with us what's happening around Greene County.
Yes, this is a pretty cool story, actually. My wife and I were talking a couple days ago, and with this whole pandemic going on, we were like, man, there's a lot of people in the region that depend on schools for their meal, you know. So I was talking to Adam about it yesterday, and he was like, well, actually, Greene County's doing something about it. Mm-hmm. And so I want to read from you. This comes from Greene County Public Schools. It says that they're actually offering free meals you can pick up today between 4 and 6 for all kids up to the age of 18. It's kind of like a no questions asked sort of policy. You just drive through. It's at the Nathaniel Greene Primary School. You use the bus lane. You drive through, pick up your meals, and then that's kind of it. There's no questions really. So it's a really cool opportunity. If you guys know of people who are like, man, like we depend on the school for our meals, or we're just a little tight right now, tell them, hey, you can just pull right on up to Nathaniel Greene, get your meal, and you're covered.
Yep. So if you'd like to volunteer or help with that in some capacity, let us know, and we'll get you connected with the right people from there.
Yeah.
So I'm happy we're doing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, also, let's see, as a church, we are still operating over the next several weeks of self-isolating, or I guess it's called social distancing. That sounds exactly. A little less Terminator-esque.
Sounds like, I think they just made that term up for this specific
I've never
pandemic.
Heard it before.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't look into the origins here.
Yeah, but introverts are going to use that all the time now.
I know.
Sorry, got a social distance this week.
Social distance. I'm feeling the nerves of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like 6 months from now. Yeah. So anyway, while that's happening, we're still the church. What I mean by that is we're not going to meet on Sunday because we can't use the school, and also we don't want to exceed the 10-person recommendation that was pressed yesterday. Which is fine. We're not going to meet at the school. That also means our groups won't be meeting in the way they have historically met. Mm-hmm. However, that doesn't mean that we stop being the church. Yeah. It doesn't mean we stop loving one another, loving those in our family, loving those around us. It doesn't mean we stop worshiping the Lord. It just means it looks different. And it's a really important distinction. For several of you, and I know this is true for a lot of pastors, this is such a challenge for them right now because they are, they've been wired to be thinking about how church is just about getting together on Sunday morning. And if you remove that one ingredient, everything falls apart, like a house of cards falling. So what we see with, if you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, you'd see that Jesus, he taught in the synagogues at times, but they did a lot more different things. They weren't.
Yeah.
The mark of all those gospels was not. They met in church. They met in church. They met in church. They were out and about, and they were loving and caring for people. Now, of course, we got to be careful in interacting with people because of spreading virus and all that stuff. But that doesn't stop. And I've seen this online a lot from several of you. It doesn't stop us from reaching out. How can I go get groceries for somebody, or how can I serve you at your home, or what are some supplies you may need that I have. Or you have, I think you guys got some extra ramen noodles. If I'm low, I may send you. I'll send a pigeon to you. That little bird will let you know.
I'll trade you some ramen for some toilet paper.
Ooh, we do have some. We happen to completely coincidentally buy some right before all this happened. So that's never been an issue.
Yeah.
But Don't come to my house looking for some, or you're gonna. I can't get into that. So, yeah. So anyway, with that, I want to encourage all of you and all of us here to be extra intentional right now in reaching out to people. Use the technology that you may have, unless you're up in the mountains and you can't get good signal, use video chat. You can use Facebook Messenger. There's a video chat option for groups, like more than 2 people chatting. So you can do that with your group, or you could do that just with some of your friends, and make sure you're trying to stir some interaction there. There's a desperate need for that. And then also just throwing this out here as a reminder, because this is better to say in person, but you'll see it posted online too. Our church continues to operate behind the scenes. We do so much during the week, and that stuff happens still too. So even though we're not gathering on Sunday mornings, our work as a church continues, and that's actually picked up a lot more because of the need right now with our serving the community very practically, and the financial requests that we've been receiving. And so I want to encourage you to continue to support the work that God's doing here at Legacy Church. Because we're not meeting on Sunday, you don't get the privilege of dropping things into a little basket, but there are 3 other ways that people can give. And so if you're unfamiliar with these, you can text to give. Texting is easy. You pick a number, so just type in some digits that you'd like to contribute, like $20 or something, and you send that to the text number of 84321. So you text it an amount, and then it replies back with instructions on how to give. That's pretty easy. Those instructions are actually very similar to this next step, and that is just online. You go to visitlegacy.org/give, and there's a big button on how you can give online. That opens a web, or that is a that leads you into how you can securely give. So those are actually very similar options, because if you text, it just opens a browser, and if you're on your phone, that's if you're on your phone. If you're on your computer, you're already on the browser. So both are portals to give online. And then the third option is mailing it. And to my knowledge at this point, the post office is still working. So
still functions.
You can send checks, and we would get those deposited. So thank you in advance for your support and your faithfulness there. We'll continue to keep our church family updated on financial challenges or changes as we proceed, because all this is brand new. I also want to thank you for your prayers for us as leadership, specifically for me, for our elders and our staff. That there's a lot of changes. We have never faced something like this, and everyone that we are talking to, and almost everyone we are reading from who has died centuries before us, has not faced something like this. We're going to get into somebody who did face something like this. We're going to read from him. But at the same time, thank you for your prayers for all this, because this is new, and we want to make sure that you are cared for well. We want to make sure we're fulfilling Christ's commission to us to disciple. And as leaders, we want to shepherd our church well through all this. So thank you in advance for your prayers and your grace as we are taking this a day at a time as these changes are happening. So,
yeah, I stay in contact with some pastors around the country, and that's kind of like the central theme is like no one knows how to deal with it. Like they don't teach you this in school, and they don't tell you about these things at the conferences. Like
no, they don't.
It's just like we got to take it a day at a time and see where the Lord directs us. So
there's been no workshop at a conference entitled Virus Outbreak, How to Run Your Church. But there will be now.
There will be. We'll be the first ones.
Coincidentally, as a staff, we've been working through a book called Canoeing the Mountains, and the whole premise is you take like Lewis and Clark were taking their boats across and trying to get to the other side of the U.S., and then they hit the Rockies. They didn't hit the ocean. And they were faced with what to do with all these boats to go across, So we've been talking about that in preparation just for adapting as a church. Just 2 weeks ago, we talked about how we haven't really had to adapt too much because we're a church plant. And then this happened. So bring it on.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So kind of along the lines of this pandemic, there's like a piece to it that is probably particularly hard for men specifically in Greene County. And it's the fact that they're suggesting that we don't have beards. Now, I don't know about you guys.
What is that about?
Yeah. You men, the women might be celebrating right now but for men, there's I think Jason's going to throw this picture online real quick, but there's a diagram that's been put out of suggesting like this is the hairstyles you can have or should have, and these are the ones that you should avoid. So to look through these, like, you know, there's obviously clean shaven. That's probably the most beneficial. You know, like the mask goes around your face securely, no hair molecules standing in the way.
Yeah, all you Injik and DIA guys got away with that one. You're already ready to go.
So then you look at the far end of the spectrum. They call this guy the band holes. You know, that's like a like full beard. I'm trying to think of someone in our church.
Terry's got a pretty good beard.
Terry
Simmons.
Sorry,
Rock
man,
on.
you might have to shave a little bit. But so then we've got some hairstyles that could work. We've got the shoe side whiskers. So, you know, a little Elvis Presley look going on.
Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right.
Because the mask doesn't really, you know, impede on the what do they call
The
them?
burns.
Chops? Yeah.
Or the chops.
Sideburns.
Yeah.
And then you've got like your lampshade, which is the little mustache that kind of goes down like this. So what's the guy Gary never mind.
The only Garys I know are people who are nobody else knows.
This is a guy like from the 60s or 70s, I think.
I think there was a Gary that lived back then.
That had the little lampshade.
That Gary from the 70s. Yeah.
Gary from the 70s. You're okay. He's probably not alive anymore.
The 70s wasn't that long ago. He probably still is alive.
That's true. Sorry, people who were alive in the 70s. Then there's the villain. That's like the mustache. It's thin, like pencil thin, but it's got a little curl up going on.
Yes.
So I think I might go with the villain. So I'll be the only associate pastor with a villain stash going on. So anyway, that's just some suggestions for you guys. If you want to really be all in avoiding this virus, is go by this diagram, shave your beards appropriately. Maybe if any of you do it, send a picture in and we'll post it tomorrow on the video.
Sure.
And specifically Terry or Austin Robbins, you know, some of you guys who just have it going on. Jason, I can see him behind the camera right now. He's got a sweet beard.
That's
Got
true.
a little villain stash going on.
Yeah. So y'all get to get creative.
Yeah.
I have a book on mustaches in my office. If you need to see it to see your options, check that out.
Yeah. So as we move forward, I got a question for you.
What's that?
You live currently in Greene County, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could live anywhere in the world, and we're taking like the church out of the equation because, you know, you want to be a good pastor and say, I would live right here with my church.
Yeah.
So let's take that out of the equation. Let's take like, I don't know, family out of the equation. If you could just live anywhere on the earth, where would you live?
That's a very profound question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's philosophical.
It is.
Because, man, there's you got to take into consideration who God is and people. Mm-hmm. My first thought with this virus going around is the International Space Station. You don't get it if you're up there.
That's true.
Or if you do, well, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's over.
Then everybody in space would have it.
That's true, along with all the trash we left up there. ISS, International, ISS. But the other one, a little more practical, would be Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland. Been there twice.
Lauterbrunnen?
Yes, okay. Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland.
Never knew it existed.
Yeah, bust out my inner heritage there and go on over there.
Nice.
And I love the mountains and the glaciers and the valleys and the waterfalls and all that stuff. I'd get a nice chalet, I think is how it's pronounced, but it might be.
Is it like a waffle?
Chalet. No, it's a building.
Oh.
No, I would enjoy that, kind of ski when I want, or not that I really do that, but I would learn it.
Yeah.
You'd have to get a Bernese Mountain Dog or something.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. I'd probably do a lot of riding. Mm-hmm. So that is kind of my what I might aspire toward, but it's not very practical because nobody I know Well, I do know somebody who lives nearby there, but nobody from here lives there. So
nice. Do you speak German?
They do speak German there. Although I think they also speak something called Romansch, if I remember right. It's like a Swiss dialect of German. No.
Okay, that would be.
But I can say Guten Tag, and I can say Schwank.
Nice.
Yes. And let's see, what else do I know in German? Volkswagen.
Like the car?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just the brand.
Volkswagen. I can say Toyota.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. So yeah, that's where I go. But speaking of Switzerland, and of course, whenever you think of that in the biblical and theological terms, you think of the Reformers.
Sure.
Who doesn't? You had Zwingli and Calvin and Luther. That Luther, he wasn't necessarily in Switzerland, but his influence was all over there. With that said, he encountered something very similar to this virus in the sense of some wise words. So what do you have for us from him?
Yeah, so I've got a quote from Martin Luther, and actually during his day, there was a plague going on. And he actually he had a quote that kind of spread. It was actually published in one of his books that he wrote, but it was sort of some just some words about what he did during that plague. So this is what he said. He said, "I shall ask God mercifully to protect us. Then I shall fumigate, help purify the air, administer medicine, and take it. I shall avoid places and persons where my presence is not needed in order not to become contaminated and thus perchance inflict and pollute others and so cause their death as a result of my negligence. If God should wish to take me, he will surely find me, and I have done what he has expected of me, and so I am not responsible for either my own death or the death of others. If my neighbor needs me, however, I shall not avoid place or person. I shall go freely as stated above. See, this is such a God-fearing faith because it is neither brash nor foolhardy and does not tempt God."
That's good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be summarized as common sense Christianity.
Exactly.
Yep. Wash your hands and love your neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very biblical.
So, yeah, it's really, I read that the other day and I was like, man, this is strong because, we're trying to identify like what are the smart places for me to go and silly places. I mean, obviously, like you said, common sense, don't eat out, stuff like that, like avoid unnecessary things. But then if your neighbor is like, struggling with something, needs help with something, like don't be afraid to run over there and lend them a hand. So
I know. Unfortunately, my neighbors are one of them. They're in their 90s, and I really would like to go say hi to them.
Yeah.
But we got to be very careful with that one. So I'm not going to carry something to them. That'd be awful.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
hopefully all this simmers down, and then we're in the clear.
Yeah.
Hang out again. So yeah, that's a good quote. My biggest problem with Luther is what you may not expect if you're in seminary right now. I just didn't like that he was clean shaven in all his pictures, at least.
Yeah.
Where's his beard?
That's because they took the pictures during the
during the
plague.
Yeah.
He had the villain stash.
Yeah. That's right. Something like that. All the other guys had some serious beards.
Yeah.
I look at him and I'm like, is that a woman? Oh no, that's Martin Luther.
That's Martin Luther.
Yeah. Anyway, well, with that, I think that leads us into just talking about another guy who everyone may be familiar with, and that is a guy named Patrick. Patty. He affectionately goes by sometimes. Little Saint Patrick, actually.
Yep.
And he lived in Ireland. And so I want to talk about that. Before we do, how about you give us some fun facts about Saint Patrick?
Yeah, how about this? So today is St. Patrick's Day. So I want to walk through a couple quick fun facts. First of all, did you guys know the first St. Patrick's Day that took place in America took place in 1737? That was a while ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Those people, I don't think, are alive, unlike those from the 70s.
They're probably right there with the people from the 70s. Their lava lamps and everything. How about this one? I didn't really know this. The original color of St. Patrick's Day was blue. Did you know that?
No, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Considering the ocean's blue.
Yeah. And they kind of just like tied in Ireland's color, shamrocks and stuff with St. Patrick's Day. But we should be wearing blue today. The other thing, you know how they turn the Chicago River green every year?
Never heard that, even though I was born outside of Chicago.
Well, they
That's
do.
funny.
They dump dye in the river. They do it in Savannah, Georgia as well.
Sounds like a waste of good dye.
Yeah. Well, this is a fact. They dump 40 tons of dye into the river to turn it green.
What?
40 tons.
Man.
That's a lot.
You know, at church we're going to be talking about Exodus and when they made the river turn blood, right?
Sure.
Like, this is like a version of that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just poured 40 tons
of blood.
of dye into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how that happens.
Uh-huh.
Always wondered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. Yeah. So, yeah, the first time they ever did that was in 1962. So just before y'all 70s kids
We're thought of.
Yep. So how about this one? Your odds of finding a 4-leaf clover, what do you think the odds are?
I'd say 1 in a million.
Nope. 1 in 10,000.
Those odds are good.
It's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
Like if
Great,
you picked a clover leaf,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, like the little thing, every day for 30 years, you'd find one.
That's quick math.
No, I don't know if that's right. I'm just making that up.
Yeah, I mean, you could have said anything and I would have believed you.
Yeah.
Okay, last one here. So did you know, I think I rehear this every St. Patrick's Day, but I always forget. Did you know there's no snakes in Ireland?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Sounds like New Zealand.
Yeah. So it's believed by legend. I don't know if this is like there can't be a fact. There's no way it's a fact. But it's believed that St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland. That's like a St. Patrick's
It's an
Day
interesting fact
belief.
that he got attributed to him.
Yeah.
I can empathize with that because I hate snakes.
Yeah.
So if I had that ability, you better believe it.
Yeah. How many of you guys would move to Ireland just for the fact that there's no snakes?
I wouldn't have any more snake nightmares.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have them often?
No,
I can't
but
say I've ever had one.
you know,
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. Comment below.
When was the last time you had a nightmare of being attacked by an anaconda? So, I never met St. Patrick, but I would like to talk a little bit about what I've learned about him.
Sure.
So there's a few things. There's a couple good articles too, and I posted one on my own Facebook page. But as you think about St. Patrick, if you don't know this, when he was a teenager, and now again, I haven't verified this information with a textbook. I'm just taking off of something that seems pretty credible on this site here. As a teenager, he was kidnapped. He was taken from his home from Britain, and then he was sold into slavery on the island of Ireland. And so he was a slave for 6 years, and during that time he got saved, he converted to Christianity, placed his faith in Christ, and then he earned a reputation of sharing his faith with everyone. Well, then one night he escaped this slavery, and he fled Ireland. And during that time of fleeing, and he got more training and his beliefs, and the Lord spoke to him and told him to go back to Ireland as missionary. So he was told to go back to the place that had this like horrible memory associated with it. And so 25 years after fleeing Ireland, Patrick, he returned to Ireland, right? And he went back with a heart that was excited to share the gospel with people. And he did so, and he worked and served in that community. And so he said this at one point. He said, "Daily I expect to be murdered or betrayed or reduced to slavery if the occasion arises. But I fear nothing because of the promises of heaven." And so what I love about this is how Patrick, he entered Ireland it was a country full of paganism and idol worship. But a few decades after being there, you started seeing this healthy Christ-honoring dynamic in the church there. And so the Irish church, according to this article, the Irish church was so strong that in the centuries to come it would send missionaries to evangelize much of Europe. And Patrick's legacy, #legacy, lives on through the countless spiritual grandchildren he left to continue his work.
Wow.
You know, I love that story. This outbreak for us that's happening right now. This is going to test our love for God and for one another, and our commitment to Christ's call for us to be the church. And with that, I'm just resonating more with Patrick's story. I bet there's some cheap biographies out there you can pick up and read a little more about his interactions with other people. And with all that, I'm reminded of this quote by A.W. Tozer. He says, "A scared world needs a fearless church." And because of Christ and who he is, we can be fearless. Not foolish, but fearless. We can be fearless. So that's a little bit about St. Patrick.
It's crazy that we've kind of like taken a holiday that is geared around a guy who's like done so much for the Christian faith, and like introduced pagan things like not even like when I think of St. Patrick's Day, I think of like places like Chicago and Savannah where there's just like crazy parties and like I mean just drunkenness everywhere, and it's like we've like put such a pagan twist on such a profound person. Yeah,
and associated him with luck and everything with that, rather than what his own life was dedicated to. What if we were like used by the Lord in a way that led our entire community to the Lord, and then 1,600 years later, people warped that into a holiday with our names on it, but then they just got trashed all night.
That's crazy.
We're like, seriously.
Wow.
You guys. All right. Well, hey, this has been good. I want us to wrap up. Neil, how about you share with us what is your favorite vintage video game? And if you guys don't know Neil well, he growing up, I've heard that you loved playing video games, but you don't anymore. So you're familiar with this gamer world.
Sure. Which
was pre-internet gamer world. You know? You actually had a system you had to use. So tell us a little bit. What were some of your favorite games?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So, I would say, just to answer that question right off the bat, my favorite all-time game ever was Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh, you like Zelda?
Yeah,
nice.
Just classic. Like when I think about Zelda, it like brings me back to like my childhood. Really, I mean, it's just a fun. I actually played through it a couple of years ago. I had like a lull in like my job life.
Yeah.
So
that's what you do.
Yeah. You get an N64 and play video games. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's probably number one. And then like the classics like Mario. I used to play this game. Probably the last console I played on was the GameCube, and there was a game called SSX Tricky. It's when I was really getting big into sports and stuff. It was a snowboarding game, so I did all kinds of crazy tricks and stuff. So, but it's funny because, like Adam said, when I was a kid, I loved video games. I mean, spent hours. My family had to limit our video game time to like 20 minutes a day.
Oh, that's brutal because you don't get anywhere in 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Everyone knows it's got to be at least 4 hours.
Right. It increased with age, but when I was in middle school, I was, like I said, I was making the transition into like really getting involved in sports, and I got in trouble for doing, I don't even know what I did. Like, I was a pretty good kid, but I did something wrong. And my parents were like, all right, no more video games for this week. And I was like, well, I don't even like video games. And my parents were like, yeah, you play all the time. And I was like, no, watch, I'll never play again. And from that day until like 3 years ago, I never touched a video game once. And it was out of complete defiance to my parents for...
You showed them.
Yeah.
Man.
Or they showed me, I don't know.
That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
Well, now we know that you are either stubborn or very committed. It depends how you look at that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So don't get me in trouble at work, or I'll not do it ever again.
You'll show us. I don't like coffee.
No, I don't think I can.
I don't like hunting. I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah, no, those things, like, I don't think, this is my 4th cup of coffee today. Yeah, hunting, it would take a lot to halt that, but
Yeah.
maybe like long sleeve shirts or something. You could be like, you can't wear long sleeves again. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions related to our church and stuff, feel free to reach out. But in the meantime, stay safe. Definitely strive to worship the Lord personally and lead your family in that way. And thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thanks, guys.